Okay, Lady Ada, what is this?
Hey everybody, it's that time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's time for show and tell. Here from the Adafruit Factory, it's me, Lady Ada. With me is Mr. Lady Ada. We've got a jam-packed show full of show and tell from around the world. We're going to come by and show us their projects, including a plethora of Adafruit peeps. We're going to get through people real fast because we got to get out of here at 7:55. So let's start with Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hi. You hear me?
And here's your screen.
Okay.
So a couple screens.
I'm sharing too many things here. Yeah.
Oversharing.
Yeah, I'm oversharing. So what I'm working on right now is for Bluetooth, we want to be able to talk to bicycle speed and cadence sensors, and I wanted to set up a way of doing that. So let me share just the window with the picture in it. So there are a couple different kind of bicycle sensors. There's one kind that is a single sensor that uses magnets that you connect to your crank and your wheel. It looks like this. And then there's another kind that are two different sensors, one that mounts on the hub of a wheel and the other one that mounts on the crank of the bicycle. And so their speed and cadence separately. So I wanted to be able to test these, but I need to spin them around. And there's no room in here to put a bicycle in. It would be a nuisance to do that anyway. So I just built a little jig with a motor that's controlled by a cricket. And it spins around. And of course, the crank and the wheel don't turn at the same time, but it's imitating both of those. So I can now connect to that with that using BLE. And if I, let me switch back and share a different window. Let's see. We can see that, there you go. Sharing that window, right. So in code here, I'm currently debugging this. I'm having trouble talking to both of the sensors at the same time, and I only get one value out of each of them, and then they disconnect. But you can see here, we're getting revolutions of the wheel and a clock that says that's keeping time on the wheel revolutions. And then from the other sensor, we're getting crank revolutions and also a time. So I'm debugging this right now, and John Park may be able to show some of this tomorrow on his show. So that's what I'm working on.
All right, Phil, like Dan's such a crank caller. Spinning tails. All right, well, thanks, Dan. You got all sorts of Bluetooth stuff happening. Maybe next week we'll have a library as well.
Okay.
All right, next up, Erin and her magical bottles. Hey, Erin.
Hey, so I am just finishing up a giant project this week, which is this tree that has a bunch of fairy bottles in it. I've made about 9 of these glass bottles with neopixels inside of each one of them, and hung them from this tree that I made. I'm going to talk more about the tree at some point too. They are all connected with neopixels inside, and they're controlled with a controller. They have 4 different animation modes. Here's a little video of how they work. And the animation modes are based on the different seasons of the year. So I have a mode for spring, summer, winter, and autumn. And it just turned out just stunning. This room is amazing. I did all the paint jobs and everything like that as well, and all the other decor. So I've been working on this for quite a long time, and built this tree and put all the leaves in and all the bottles and everything like that. It's just, I mean, it's turning into this incredible art piece. So this is a controller right here. This is my tree trunk, and you can see there's a little monster mask eyeballs in there too, which I'm gonna be working on a guide for that next. But down here, this controller has pewter cast icons that I made with like a wire just embedded in the pewter before it's set up. And each time they're hooked up to a capacitive touchpad on a circuit playground. And when you touch one of them, touch the flower, and then spring works, and then the little twig is for winter and autumn and summer. And then the moon makes the whole thing go off so you can sleep. This is part of my pewter casting. It's running off a circuit playground with lots and lots and lots of connectors in there. And this is what's inside of each of the bottles. It's just a little strip of neopixels And just with all of them hooked up all together, it's just this stunning art piece. So I'm very excited about it.
All right, this is really coming together. Guide coming soon, but really beautiful home you got there, and I love to see all your decorations. They're making for great guides.
Thanks so much.
Beautiful work. Eric says
Thank you,
beautiful work, Aaron. All right, thanks, Aaron. Okay, next up, let's check in with Brent. Hey, Brent.
Hey, you should check in with Noe and Pedro first.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you know what? We
Yeah.
have the technology.
We have technology.
Why don't we check in
With
together?
both.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right. So what have you all been working on?
There we go. We're unmuted. Hey, folks. Yeah. So, Brent, didn't you start this idea? You've done a couple of IoT planter projects already, which are on the Learn Guide. Really cool. This one's a little bit special. This one's a little bit different. It's using, well, it's also using the Pi portal, but hey, this is showing nice animations and a little root graphic. It's a bitmap.
It's a nice plant.
Yeah, thank you. It's a nice plant. So we did put together a 3D printed enclosure for it. Where is the sensor? It's embedded inside the planter. So that was like one of our goals, is to make it nice and clean, so the components where it needs to be and not kind of hanging out. So that's what we really wanted to do. We've been working on a lot of these little retro cases, and this one is pretty similar, but it has this nice planter.
I like how you did the combo. It's like it's kind of got that retro computer look, but then it's like, oh, we cut a hole in the top. Now it's a planter.
There you go. Yeah, and we still got the speaker pot here, so it has audible things. It lets you know when the water is low, which is really useful. It's also plotting the data to Adafruit IO, and Brent put together a really good portion in the guide that shows you how to put together your dashboard, how to create gauges, and Brent, this is your part.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Take it away.
So this is the culmination of a few different guides. We actually have guides on the Adafruit learning system for a planter guide using AWS, using Microsoft Azure, using Google Cloud. And this is the first one that we're doing that's using our service, which is Adafruit IO. And we decided to make this like the nicest guide because it uses our stuff. And knowing Pedro did a really, really nice job on the planter. I have mine over here, but with no plant in it. I'll fix that later this week. So the front of the screen is actually the Pi portal, and that shows the moisture level. It's actually an image that's transparent of the roots, and the water level goes up and behind the root image. So it will fill up as the water is filled. And then they also have a speaker on the side to tell you when the water is high or low. And you can configure it, but right now I think it's by default 5 minutes. It sends data to an Adafruit IO dashboard, which you can then plot your data and then look at it over a period of time. If you don't want to pay for Adafruit IO, you totally can use our free version, and it gives you up to 30 days of data for your planter, which is more than enough. And then you can monitor it remotely. We didn't do an auto pump for this because it will talk to you anyway. If it's on your desk and maybe you have two of these, it'll be a really noisy cacophony of planters.
All right, well, great work. This is a nice team up, and it looks amazing, beautiful, and the graphics are great. And it's kind of an all-in-one project.
Yeah,
and
we'll be
it's
playing
easy
a
to build
video
too.
tonight on Ask an Engineer.
All right, thank you, Noah, Pedro, and Brent. All right, next up, let's go to JP and his magical gels.
Oops.
Oh.
So what happens?
Yeah, it's okay.
with this? JP.
Hey,
there you
hello.
go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So this was something I wanted to show that I included in my guide for the heart rate monitor project that just came out. And for that, I was using a couple of little 7-segment displays. And it's actually a little trick that I've shown before in a clock guide I did a couple years ago. And that is that these LCD displays, or these LED displays rather, are kind of meant to be behind a tinted piece of plastic. So if you take apart like an old school alarm clock, you're going to see this kind of display, but you don't see all of the white unlit segments, and that kind of detracts from the look of the thing. So what I use is just a little piece of photographic or filmic lighting gel. So if you watch my face, I'll probably turn a little purple here. This one from the side, you can use these to, there we go. So if you see what that's
It gives you a casting.
yeah, so that's how you sculpt light, colors, or densities in a theater or film environment. And it's not expensive. I happen to have some laying around. You could find other things, other materials like folder separators or other thin plastic material that's tinted. This one happens to be purple, which works great over my red and blue displays here. I really like the way they look, but you could also get just neutral gray ones to block that that display, so you only see the LEDs that you want to see shining through. Let's see if I reset this, you'll see it kind of go through some of its little startup stuff and see some other things on there. So all of that stuff really shines through nicely, whereas it's it
definitely makes it look, gives it that nice polish.
Nice polish there. So that was a little tip. It's very inexpensive. I think this is maybe $7 for a sheet of this good stuff, and it's bigger than that when you get it. I've been cutting it down for projects over the years, and it's my go-to one. So.
All right, nice gels.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
and then,
JP.
on the show, I'll be like Dan said, I'll be showing some bike stuff. That's why I have my bike up here, and I've got some sensors. So we're going to take a look at combining some of that sensor stuff with the brand new Clue, so we can display things on this gorgeous little display.
JP's going to give you a clue tomorrow.
We'll be showing some of this and more on tonight's show. And don't forget to tune in JP show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Super. See you there.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, JP. All right, next up, let's go to Scott. And
Hello.
Scott's
How's it
data.
going?
No,
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other.
That
yeah,
is-
that's someone else's screen.
right. Somebody's
That's a different view.
Somebody else's screen.
Yeah, so I've been playing around with Adafruit IO. It's actually the first time I've taken the time to sort it out. It's been awesome. So kudos to everybody who's worked on that before. What I'm doing is I'm connecting the BLE world to the Adafruit IO world. And so what I have here is I've got a Clue on my desk, and it's running just a very simple, like, measure all the sensors and broadcast out the different values as they change. And then I've got a separate itsy bitsy M4 with a ESP on it that I'm using as a bridge. So it's listening for the BLE broadcasts, and then when it hears sensor values, it pushes it up to Adafruit IO. And the one of the things I wanted to make sure and do is that the bridge is kind of like, it doesn't know about what sensors there are. There's just a standard like protocol that they speak. So adding a new sensor is really easy, and it will automatically add the feeds for you into Adafruit IO. So if you take a look on my screen here, you can see that the names aren't great, but basically for every bridge, you get a group for every bridge as it hears every sensor. So imagine you have a large house or like something in the way that impedes some of the broadcasts. You can actually place multiple bridges throughout your house so that you can get coverage. And this is how I handle that, is you basically have two sets of feeds for each bridge's view of the world of the sensors, because all the sensors are just broadcasting, which means it's not secure either. So don't expect this to be secure at all. But
I'm totally going to hack your humidity sensor.
yeah,
Breathe on it.
I was thinking about that. I think it's probably not that insecure, because we're doing like some input validation and sorts of stuff. But
All right, so get these sensor nodes around your house, and you're plotting them on IO.
yeah, and I think it's going right now. If I just refresh, and you can see like how long it's been since the last reported one. I also had this missed message count. So the thing with BLE advertising is that it's not very reliable. So I did add a thing that you can detect when you've missed one, just so that you could in the future make graphs that are like discontinuous if you know that you missed some data. But we can take a look here and see this graph. I've been testing it a bit. It's not over a very long period of time, but you can see that I'm getting like pressure values from the Clue up into Adafruit IO.
All right, this is pretty amazing. I love the mix of like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the Clue. I mean, it's very powerful when you put it all together.
Yeah, and I was finally like splitting it out as a separate library today, and I was really impressed that like the simple test for what I'm calling broadcast net on the sensor side, it's like a 20-line code.py that just uses the internal temperature sensor of the NRF to just log it up. And that's including like rounding and making sure you don't broadcast the same value again. So I was really happy with how concise and how simple the code.pys for the sensor sides were.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
wanted to make an IoT service that's as fun and as easy as CircuitPython. So this was a good test because you've been working on CircuitPython. So
Yeah, yeah. It
We'll go great
stuff.
together.
Yeah.
All right,
was,
coming
it was
soon.
easy to get going.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott.
All right, we'll
Thank
see more in the next coming weeks. Okay,
Mhm.
next up, Brian and Brian's screen.
Hello. So I've been working on a sip and puff input device using a Feather STM32F4 and a ST LPS 33W, which is like the LPS 35 HW, but it has a little port on it that you can plug a tube into. So on my REPL screen, I have it hooked up, so it should be outputting the direction, level, and the duration.
When I say sip, you puff, sip, puff.
So you're doing low sip, high puffs. You're doing both sipping and puffing and strong and weak pressure.
Yeah, and I can see the words there.
And then you've got
folks want to zoom
duration.
in.
Okay, so cool. So you can actually start putting together like a language using these different kinds of pressures and directions and duration. So you got a couple of variables here to work with.
Yep, totally. Yeah, there's a little bit of debugging needs to go on, but relatively shortly I should be able to, figure out what this is going to control, and then allow the users to configure it to, change the different pressure thresholds and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you have sip, puff, duration, high, like you have a lot.
And you can have it all in like a JSON config file because each person's going to be a little bit different.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right, looks good.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Brian. This is
See you guys.
puffing its way towards you in a week or two. All right, Melissa.
Melissa, what you got going on?
And Melissa's screen.
I have I've been working on the web serial plotter, and I have a Circuit Playground Express here, and I have added an XY mode here, and I've also added dark mode, and you can just change it by
No, back to
checking
work.
and checking
No,
that.
thank God.
So let's go ahead and connect this, and you can see as I move it around, it's going ahead and plotting it.
Okay, so it's actually X and Y as you're moving the X and Y.
And it's no
Yeah,
demo,
you can-
a web browser using web serial, and it's on Glitch.
Neat.
That's cool.
All right, that's some pretty good plotting. I like the idea of plotting just by going to a web browser, click connect, and it just happens.
Yeah, I mean, Glitch is just really like a glorified online editor, but
Yeah, there you go. We do open source, so it's okay.
yeah.
All right, well,
And we
listen-
could also change like our number of data points if we want, if we wanted to be a little more dense on there.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're plotting away.
Yeah.
All right, very cool.
All right. Melissa's got a
Thank you,
plan.
Melissa.
And she's plotting it. All right, more. We'll do a guide for this soon so people
Guide
can
is
try it
coming
out.
soon.
Oh, one more thing. Also, it has persistent settings, so I can go ahead and hit refresh, and it'll go ahead and
It'll remember you like
change
dark
what I
mode.
want. Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to keep clicking dark mode.
Exactly. You can. All the settings actually will stay.
All right.
All right.
Yay, thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay, next up, we're going to go to Tim, and then there's a couple of rows of folks. A lot of people here tonight.
Okay,
So, Tim, take
Tim.
it away.
Hi, Tim.
Hey everybody! First time on the show, and I thought I would show a Nixie Clock that I've been working on.
Yay, that's so cool.
Very cool.
Bit. Yeah. Always like the look of these tubes, and they're really great as numerical indicators. And these are actually some that I salvaged out of something I found at the town dump, probably about 20 years ago, like a really ancient HP frequency counter.
Yeah.
There's a maker who made some nice Nixie driver boards that were Arduino compatible. So the brain of this thing is a trinket, and then a real-time clock module, and then a triple output power supply that'll do the high voltage, about 170 volts for the tubes, and then 5 volt and 3.3 volt logic for everything else. All I have to do is make a case of some kind so I don't zap myself every time I try.
I know, just you're holding it
touch
makes me nervous because I've been electrocuted by Nixies so much, but it's worth it. It looks
Yeah.
great.
There you go.
All right, well, congratulations, Tim. The only thing that would make that any better is a show and tell sticker. We'll send you one email, support@adafruit.com, and we'll send you out a sticker, and you can put it on there, maybe over the high voltage line to protect you. It's vinyl.
There you go.
And great use of a trinket.
And great recycling of electronics.
Yeah.
Dumps are great. Awesome work, Tim.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to go to Paint Your Dragon because I know he has a very fast demo that he's going to do.
Right, yeah. I was able to put together a before and after.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice.
LED Twitter has been very excited about this material. Tap Plastics has had it for a few months. I'm just behind the curve here. I believe they just call it LED or black LED acrylic, and it is a matte surface, dark tinted acrylic, and you can see compared to white, which kind of blows out.
Yeah.
It's noticeably darker, but the contrast is just amazing. And
Films
so
nicely too.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
looks
that's
so
the
good.
thing.
Yeah, it really solves the how to photograph LEDs.
yeah, exactly. But I think for kits or projects, it's going to be super popular. It costs a bit more, but I think the result is just pretty darn amazing.
Yeah,
It's very similar. I tore open one of these World Eye displays, and that dome is made out of magic. That's why I wasn't able to do a DIY version. But I'll bet if you did a projector on the back of this material,
yeah.
you'd probably have something very similar there.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for LED use because you can just see the color just comes out amazing.
It looks perfect.
All right.
All right. Looks like a
Moving on.
rendering. All right. Thanks, Phoebe.
Okay, next
Latest
up.
news from LED Land.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
How's it going? I'm feeling I know what you're going to talk about tonight.
Oh, you might.
Yeah.
You might. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I am well beyond my streaming abilities. I got to tell you. You'll see in a second. So we had a Maker Day this last weekend. It was crazy. It was at Orlando ATIA. Please come in the future. I'm going to post this video, which y'all are welcome to share. Your stuff was everywhere. So there was Adafruit parts everywhere throughout the entire Maker Day. A couple of big things you probably heard about. I'm pretty sure you heard about the Freedom Wing, because it is not the most interesting thing I've ever made, but it is the biggest megaphone I've ever worked with. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Steve Spawn,
That's a good way to describe it.
And it's simple. People know what it makes perfect sense.
It has a big impact, and it's one of those things where it's like, how come this took this long?
Right. That is really the question. So here's the Freedom Wing. It is a device which takes the output of a power chair joystick, and it lets you do this. It lets you play Xbox. And
nice.
What I wanted to show you guys more than this is why I'm beyond my streaming abilities, is that I made this point. Oops, wrong one. See, I told you.
It's okay.
What I wanted to show you on this one is because we did this with Feather, I can do something else. I can take this exact same device.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah. I see.
All right. So let's plug it into the Pi Gamer. Oh, I hit the button. Sorry. So when this finishes rebooting, right? So, oh, come on. This is Katney's drawing program.
Oh, you might just unplug the USB and plug it back in. The power needs
Let's see.
safe, or hit the reset button because it's in safe mode.
Oh, all right. Let me do that.
Live demos, I know they're always.
I know they suck. All right. So let me see. I don't remember how to do this, but take a look. Look.
Oh, nice. Yay.
My head here. I don't know if you guys can actually see what it's doing.
Yep.
I can actually draw with a power chair, which is just amazing because I just used the Feather standard. And actually, I did this about 20 minutes ago. It took me about 10 minutes to adapt that to make it work. So it's awesome. I've done a lot of different stuff. Please, if you have a chance, check out atmakers.org because what we've done in the last week is enormous. We've actually decided to give all this stuff away instead of sending people to their robotics team. Able Gamers is giving away the Freedom Wings. We're giving away the adapters for the IntelliKeys. So it is a big shift for us.
Okay, awesome stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. Tonight on Ask an Engineer, we're going to talk a little bit about this. We have some blog posts that has the coverage of the coverage because
excellent.
Because
it's crazy, right? I mean,
Gadget to Verge, and this is one of those things when people ask us what we do, we always say there's unintended great consequences of open source and sharing, making something like Feather, making something like CircuitPython.
Yeah.
And here it is. So thank you so much, and please send our thanks in regards to everyone who's been working on this.
I will absolutely. I'll tell Steve that as well. Also, I might see you at the Open Hardware Summit.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Next up.
All right, we're going to speed round it.
We're going to start with Speedwall, and we're going to do a speed round. So Speedwall.
Hey, I was down there in Orlando and I saw Bill. Well, I didn't get to talk to him, but that was a really great Maker Day there. Anyway, part of going down to Orlando was my mother-in-law's big milestone birthday. We have a funny family story about the birds that used to be outside the Pirates of the Caribbean. And as a birthday present for her, I made my own here out of an old Squawkers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
That's
wow.
a nice animatronic parrot.
That's really impressive.
So yeah, that was an off-the-shelf toy that community's kind of grown up around how to modify, but driving the whole sound of that thing is an audio FX board, so that it provides that track that I cleaned up and put into this.
Okay.
All right. Well, Polly want a show and tell sticker? Email.
Oh, absolutely.
Email support@adafruit.com and we will send you one. That's great. If you could do a video or take some photos or something, send me some information if you want to do a post about it. pt@adafruit.com. I'd love to get it.
Sure
out.
thing. Yeah, we'll document this up and get it over to you.
Well.
All right. And next up.
All right, Drew and Helen.
Drew and Helen,
take
give
a
it
minute.
like a minute and everyone else. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm trying to bring up the Open Hardware Summit badge here. I've got
That's right.
J-Link.
Thanks.
Program the bootloader. Alex is working on the programming jig, so in the meantime, we have to solder wires onto the test points. And then...
unfortunately, my soldering iron broke.
And then Helen was just in the UK and built this instrument for...
I built a version of an instrument. Basically, so last year I made a bunch of instruments that are kind of like sci-fi creatures. And this year, so I've given a couple to other artists, but they're all technologists. So this year I really wanted to make an instrument for a non-technical musician to see, because designing for an electronics person or designing for a DIY person is very different to designing for someone who doesn't know anything about it. They break everything all the time and they're like wiggling everything around. So that's a challenge I've set for myself this year, is to make something kind of, I know I can make something cool, but I can't make something indestructible yet. So.
All right, great update. Goals, creative stuff happening from Drew and Helen. Thank you so much for the.
All right, thank you. And we will be showing some shots of the Open Hardware badge tonight on Ask an Engineer.
All right.
All right, thanks, folks.
Oh no, it was gone.
You got anything else?
What's the Open Hardware badge? Gone.
Was that?
Was there an update on the Open Hardware Summit or badge?
Yeah, this is it. So Michael has sensors working with it. So if people want go buy tickets, we have the IMU and the proximity sensor working on it now. So.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that on the show.
Yep.
Speaking of, we got to go to the show.
Yeah, we'll have that just in a minute. All right. Well, thank you, Drew.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right, Dannon was going to be on the show, but
his audio
his
died.
webcam, I can see that it died. It says,
Yeah, it says device not connected.
device not connected. All right, well, that's our show tonight.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. This is our favorite half an hour every single week. We've been doing this for almost 10 years. This is the show and tell, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel. Next up, Ask an Engineer in about a minute. Bye, everybody.